Hello, everyone. My name is Alexandre Villemer, and welcome to this new interview of Panem 360, where I am joined today by Tim Keeler, the music director of the Grammy Award-winning vocal ensemble Chanticleer, known around the world as an orchestral voices for its wide-ranging repertoire, going from the Renaissance music to contemporary music, and its dazzling virtuosity. The ensemble will make its first appearance at the Festival de Lanaudière on Sunday, July 13 in the afternoon at the amphitheatre Fernand-Lindsay in a concert that will showcase the wide variety of the music polyphony and delving into the origin of, uh, in some way, vocal music and the origin of polyphony. Tim Keeler, hello and welcome to Panem 360.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. So, for those who might not know the ensemble Chanticleer, which is an American ensemble based in San Francisco, run us through the origin maybe of this ensemble that was founded in 1978.
Yeah, absolutely. So Chanticleer is a 12-person a cappella vocal ensemble. And so we perform without microphones, and I like to call it maybe sort of like classical a cappella
Mm.
as opposed to like, contemporary pop a cappella or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And we started in 1978, as you said, really as an early music group, and that's where our history lies, and really our bones are is in early music. So that's generally music from the Baroque or the Renaissance periods, and that's still a large part of what we do, and something we feel very strongly about. But then quickly after that first couple seasons, a music director by the name of Joseph Jettings came to San Francisco and brought with him his tradition and his music, and the ensemble really started to explore many different styles. And now we sing everything from Renaissance music to some pop arrangements, a lot of vocal jazz, as well as some African American spirituals. And every year we also have we make it it's important to us to commission new works of classical vocal music. And so that's a big part of our program as well. So we like to sing a little bit of everything, all a cappella, and as I said, 12 singers. And what's a little unique about the 12 singers that we have is we have countertenors, tenors, and basses. So it's people like me singing in their falsetto register, a little higher than maybe is normal, and but singing all the parts. So soprano, alto, tenor, bass, but within those 12 singers. It's a pretty unique sound, and I think it's something that's very yeah, it's a very thrilling sound, and we're excited to sing all this different repertoire.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, you sang yourself in the ensemble before becoming its music director. You sang with the ensemble for their 2017-2018 season, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And now you are presiding the destiny of the ensemble. What made you join the ensemble at the first place? As you are a native of the East Coast,
Yeah.
you made a career in New York and in Michigan in those states. What made you move to San Francisco on the Pacific Coast to pursue this adventure and becoming the music director of Chanticleer?
Yeah, great question. I've been singing for as long as I can remember, and you're right. My career before Chanticleer was mostly in New York City, singing as a freelance singer, and as a countertenor,
Mhm.
and so singing in my falsetto register, and so because of that, I was mostly singing early music, and but I've loved choral music my whole life, and Chanticleer is one of those names, at least in America, that's very prominent in the choral world. You sort of everybody knows about Chanticleer if you're in that scene. And I remember auditioning for them actually back in 2014, and just sort of just being super excited about the opportunity. And there was no spot in the ensemble for me then, so that's when I moved to New York and sang for a few years. And then I got a call from the former music director in 2017 and said, "We have an opening. Would you like to come out to San Francisco?" And of course, I jumped at the opportunity because it's such a phenomenal group, and we get to sing for a living. That's all. That's our entire job. We're very lucky. And so I was super excited to join them for a year. But in the back of my head, I always knew that I wanted to be a music director or a conductor of some kind. And so after a year with the group, I went back to school to get my doctorate in choral conducting at the University of Maryland. And then stars aligned again, and the former music director, William Fred Scott, was leaving. And I had the opportunity to audition for the role as music director and come back to San Francisco and now lead the group, which is an absolute dream job of mine.
Yeah, I would assume that the fact that you are a singer yourself, that you performed with the ensemble before becoming its music director, does it have an impact on how you conduct and how you give directions to the singers, um, compared to maybe someone who is a very knowledgeable of, the choral world and the choral conducting? Does it change the way that you want the singers to communicate the music?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different styles of singing in the world, of course, and there are opera singers and there are jazz singers and there are pop singers and Chanticleer is a very specific kind of singing. It's a very specific kind of ensemble music making, and I think you're absolutely right. Being in the group for a year definitely gave me an awareness of the sort of requirements for the singers in Chanticleer, and also what's possible and what the demands are for a group like Chanticleer that sings, nearly 90 concerts a year,
Yeah,
which is it's a lot, and so there's a
it's
very
hefty load.
specific
It's a
kind
hefty
of
load.
yeah, yeah, and so it's a very specific set of requirements, and so I do think coming from that, having that background has certainly helped me program for the group and work with the group and give more specific feedback to the ensemble.
Speaking of the program and of the variety of musical styles, let's talk about the program itself that you will be performing on Sunday, the 13th at Lanaudière. It is a very broad program. Then that you did not, if when we look at it, it's not chronological in a way. It's
Yeah,
really like wide range of possibilities of music with some anchor points in the origins of the polyphony. When we look at, you have the Gloria from the Mess of Notre Dame of Guillaume de Machaut, you have songs of Francesco Landini, Gabrielli, and then you have mostly quote unquote contemporary music, contemporary classical vocal music. So, how did you program? What was your intent in programming the program in this kind of way?
yeah, great question. I I love early music. That's, as I said, that's where I got sort of my start. But I also one of the things I love about it is how it can become relevant to the present day, and how there's things from the 1500s or the 1600s that feel very personal if you can explore them in the right way, and they can really speak to us today. And so one of the things that I try to do when I program for Chanticleer is take this early music, like medieval music by Guillaume de Machaut, and put that somewhere that makes it feel relevant, as opposed to saying, we're going to do early music, okay, that's on its own over here, and then we're going to do contemporary music, and that's over here. I like to try to find ways to bridge the gap. And in this program in particular, it's really an exploration of the foundations of music and of polyphony, and we explore, how medieval composers were writing and with their musical structure, very sort of, they were just exploring things,
Yeah.
just discovering this sort of Western music world. And then we look at how those same building blocks progressed into the present day with a lot of contemporary minimalist composers or sort of experimental composers. And so that's really where we start. The first half of the program is sort of an exploration of all these building blocks. And so we pair the Guillaume de Machaut's Messe de Notre Dame, which has lots of parallel fifths and lots of like open harmonies. We pair that with a piece by a contemporary Black American composer, Julius Eastman, who died in 1990, which is a setting of the Our Father.
Mhm.
This prayer it's a minimalist work, but it's set all in parallel fifths, and it's a very expressive text. And I think, putting those two right back to back is, I think, a really fun way to explore both of those pieces of music and get something new out of each of them.
Yeah, and like you said, you're also exploring contemporary music, but also African American spirituals like Wade in the Water, Poor Pilgrim of Sorrow. You're really delving also in the roots of the American repertoire also.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And once we have those building blocks of music, we like the second half of the program really explores how what's the most effective way to use them and how do we explore like the most intense emotions that are in there. And a lot of that comes from this African American spiritual tradition that is so quintessentially American and so quintessentially Chanticleer. It's something that we've
Mm.
really take great pride in and was brought to us really by Joseph Jennings, or one of our former music directors. And so we're doing one of his arrangements, which is Poor Pilgrim of Sorrow. And then we're doing a new arrangement for us, Wade in the Water by Stephen Murphy. And both of these pieces are just so intense and evocative and beautiful, and really show, once you have all these building blocks of music, what emotions you can draw out of them. It's very, very special. But then we're also pairing those pieces with some contemporary pieces. There's a set called Not an End of Loving by the contemporary American composer Stephen Sametz,
Mhm.
which he wrote for Chanticleer in 2009, which sets three different poems about love in three different styles. And then one piece that I'm most excited about is a new commission for this year, or for this season, a piece called Future Ones by composer Ayanna Woods, who's based out of Chicago.
Okay.
And this piece, she talks about, she wrote the text speaks about how we should think about uh, the people coming after us, and how we would treat ourselves and treat the world if we were thinking about future generations. And when you think about the history of music, and you think about particularly these African American spirituals, and you think about what they were going through at the time, and there's this sort of, the history of music is sort of wrapped up in the history of humanity. And so concluding this set with a piece called Future Ones by this new piece called Future Ones, I think is a great way to sort of encapsulate the way that music can span these human desires and fears, and all through these building blocks of music. It really, really comes together nicely in that piece, which I'm one of my favorite pieces on the program.
Right. Like you said, it's entirely a cappella with 12 voice, which has its own hardships in a way, because it's really, really, it needs to be on point every time. It's really like difficult to to do. Is there a piece on this program that gave you a little bit of a headache, or that was more difficult, not to master, but to arrive at a point where you are satisfied? Is there one that you put more work into it?
Yeah, great question. Well, I think yes, and it's become one of my favorite pieces, and that's the second piece of the program is a piece called He U Maha
Mhm.
by a contemporary composer, Toby Twining. And this piece is it's fairly long. It's between 7 and 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's one
Uh,
of the longest on the program. Like,
yeah, and there are no words to it,
okay.
and it's mixed meter, so the meter is always changing,
Mm.
and it's the big feature of this piece is one of our tenors, Andy Van Allsburg. He has a yodeling solo essentially for most of the piece, which is just incredibly difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
Singing in these really high registers, and then immediately leaping down to low registers and back and forth really quickly. It's very impressive, and it took a long time for all of us to make that piece feel like it's supposed to feel, which is this sort of joyful exploration of music. Because for the first few rehearsals, it was more like, we gotta get it together, we have to sing it all right. But then once we figured that out, once we got it in our body, it really is something that's just so thrilling to listen to and so much fun to sing. But it did take us a while to get there.
Yeah, I mean, and the satisfaction of arriving at the end of it, poor Pilgrim, an incredible feeling, I would assume.
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
Chanticleer also has a strong commitment towards education since 1986 through a program called Singing in the Schools. Can you tell us a little bit about this program and what is the impact that you have and that you want to have on those on those young people?
Yeah, absolutely. Education is a really important part of what we do. It's part of our mission, and I think all of us in Chanticleer have some memory of some time when we were kids or students, and we either saw a performance or we worked with a teacher that changed our lives and led us down the path we are on today. And we definitely feel like it's our responsibility to sort of pay that forward and to work with as many young musicians as possible to show them what's possible in the world. There's something so thrilling about, something so exciting about standing next to a young singer, and I see them standing next to a singer in Chanticleer and seeing them sing side by side, and I can see their excitement as they realize the sound that's coming out of this person next to them, and they realize what's possible. It's really, to see those eyes open is something that's really really important and really important to what we do. And so we try to visit as many students as possible when we're on the road. We try to do master classes with schools when we're touring, and we also visit schools in our home city of California, around the Bay Area and San Francisco. We try to visit as many schools as possible and sing for as many students as possible. That sometimes that looks like very intense work. We're working with the choir and we try to shape the sound and really give them very specific feedback. But sometimes it looks like just visiting a school that maybe doesn't even have a music program. And we just go in and say, hi, this is what we do. Here's something that you've never heard before. And just try to engage them and introduce them to a kind of singing or styles of music that maybe they've never even experienced. And I think that just goes a long way towards promoting our art form and promoting sort of music and connection in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not only to go to schools or establishments that have a specific music program or that have a choir attached to said school. It's also to, like you said, doing giving back to the community
Yeah.
in a sense, and giving a perspective and giving access to that form of art to people who might not have the opportunity to listen to or to attend to.
Absolutely, because it's Chanticleer concerts are we do a lot of them, but they're sometimes in strange places, sometimes hard to get to, or maybe you're a student and your parents aren't into choral music, and so you would never go see a Chanticleer concert. And so we try to bring it to as many people as possible in the most accessible way to just introduce as many people as we can to what we do.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen on Sunday, the 13th, with the audience of the Festival de Lanaudière, where you will be performing, we said, this program that paints a portrait of the evolution of polyphony and vocal music, starting from the Renaissance to today. So it's on Sunday, the July 13th, in the afternoon. It's at 4 p.m., if I remember correctly, on the stage of the Amphithéâtre Fernand-Lindsay at Festival de Lanaudière. Tim Keeler with the Chanticleer, thank you very much for having taken the time to speak with us today.
Thank you very much for chatting. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.